That new service you have is fantastic. If anybody
Yeah,
says
it's
anything there, it's gonna zoom in on you.
Yeah, that's all. Nice. Friday. Oh, that was good.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming and participating today. Introductions, I'm Dale Stein, Chair.
I'm PJ Emmerich, the Region 2 AEA.
Victor Giacomo, Region 1 AEA for Western New York. Tyler Knapp, Program Analyst with the State Committee.
Ryan Cunningham, State Committee, North Country Field Staff. Scott Pickbon, the Region 3 AEA.
Darren? You muted? Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Bethany.
Okay, Bethany Bizdu, Executive Director of the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee.
Scott Ryan, NYC voting rep.
Brian Steinmiller, Assistant Director, Division of Land Water Resources for Ag and Markets.
Corey Nell, Montgomery County Soil and Water.
Melissa Gordon, Administrative Assistant.
Jennifer Clifford, Sierra Program Manager.
Jason Buchanan, Ag Non-Point Source Program Manager.
Matt Brower, State Committee voting member.
All right, and we will move to a roll call of our staff on the line. Let's see, Brendan Jordan.
Let me just grab the mute button real quick. Sorry, everyone. Brendan Jordan, CNMP specialist for the state committee.
Good morning. Chastity Miller.
Hey, Chastity Miller here, AEM Program Coordinator for State Committee.
Greg Albrecht.
Morning, everybody. Greg Albrecht, Principal Environmental Animist with the State Committee and Ag and Markets.
Bear with me while I scroll. Sorry, folks. Tim Clark.
Everybody, I'm Tim Clark, engineer for the state committee.
All right, and Ben.
Ben Luskin, Region 5 AEA, State Aid to Districts Program Manager.
All right, and we'll do a quick roll call of our advisory members. Department of Ag and Markets, do we have anyone else on the line?
Not
How about
sure you're asking for Bethany. This is Erica. I just wanted to chime in and let folks know I'm here too. Erica,
Oh.
voting member.
Thank you, Erica. How about DEC?
William Coppola here from New York State East.
Department of State?
Hey, Black.
Good morning. How about Department of Health?
Paul Kazmarzik and Morgan Tarbell.
Morgan Tarbell here. We also have Bailey Groth joining us. She's at our DOH office in Buffalo. She's in the source water section. Thank you.
Good morning. Cornell Cooperative Extension. How about Cornell Cales?
Jared's here.
Good morning. NRCS.
Morning, Elena Covington here.
Good morning, Elena. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And CDDA.
Bless you.
Bless you. I feel like I might be missing an advisory member. Are there any advisory members online that didn't have the opportunity to introduce yourself? Or do we do? Oh, I didn't. Thank you. SUNY ESF. could you repeat that?
My name's Christine Georgakakos. I'm with SUNY ESF in the Environmental Resources Engineering Department.
Great, thank you so much for joining. Apologize for missing you. Okay, just also want to extend a warm welcome to all of the conservation districts who are on the line and any members of the public who have joined this morning. Over to you, Dale.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for participating and joining us today. Next on our agenda, review and approve minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? Motion to approve, please.
I so move.
Second,
No second.
moved in second, and we'll go to voting. Scott,
Aye.
Aaron? Not sure he's on. Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. Correspondence, Bethany?
All right, so I just want to note that we have a few pieces of correspondence that came in since our last state committee meeting. First being the August CDEA news, which was forwarded out, on our listserv to everyone. It's a great publication. It highlights a lot of the work that districts are doing out there. So thank you, CDEA, for keeping up with that newsletter. It's awesome. But the second piece of correspondence that we received today for this meeting came from the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition. This letter was forwarded to the state committee voting members in advance of the meeting. The letter reads, Dear Ms. Bizdu, during the July meeting of the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition, John Selka, Director of the Community Relations for Congressman Brandon Williams, reported on the reauthorization of the Water Resources Development Act that was passed in the House of Representatives on July 22nd. As the president of the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition, I kindly request New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee's support of the Water Resources Development Act funding being directed to the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition to implement water resources infrastructure projects that protect communities and grow the economy. I would like to include the SWCC as a partner in the below letter that the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition members will send to legislators. So the coalition is drafting a letter that they want to distribute to their local legislators, or the members of the coalition will be distributing to their local legislators, seeking support for federal funding. So the paragraph where the state committee would be listed states, our partners at the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee and the New York Association of Conservation Districts are in full support of the Water Resources Development Act funding for water resources infrastructure projects to be implemented by the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition that protect communities and grow the economy. So this letter was sent by Caitlin Stewart, who is the president of the Watershed Coalition. I don't know if she's in Syracuse, available to add any more details to this request.
She's not here yet.
Okay. I will mention as well to the voting members that because this is a little atypical of the request that state committees would get, I did consult with counsel's office here at the department, and they saw no legal concerns with the state committee being included as a partner in the letter.
I got a couple of questions that relates to conflict. I just want to be extra cautious about, I guess, is, so this money would go to DEC and then to the district, is that correct?
My understanding was that the money would be directly allocated from, I think the Water Resources Development Act is actually the act that authorizes the Army Corps of Engineers to do projects, and then funding kind of comes in separate, you know, in addition to that, I guess. It's an act that's passed every 2 years, so I think that funding would be allocated directly to the coalition from
Okay.
Army Corps.
Fulton County's got a contract with DEC to handle the funds from there, correct? I believe, they're administrating. So I'm trying to make sure that by my voting on this, there's no conflict because of Fulton County handling the money from DEC, and whether this would sort of be, you know, whether Fulton County's gonna be handling again and getting an administrative reimbursement, or, you know, I don't want to be voting if it's
Through the coalition, and we're not being asked to write a letter of support, it's just to be included in this letter as
Correct.
as a partner, supporting partner.
Yes, that is correct.
And you said council looked at it and they didn't think there'd be a problem.
Correct.
I'm not sure exactly how to advise you, Matt, but I would think that, you know, there's a couple of, you know, kind of steps removed, to you, being.
Yeah, and I
Chair of the Fulton County through the coalition, but to be safe, if you wanted to abstain from a motion, you certainly.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing that's not clear to me is if this money would go from Army Corps directly to each district, or whether it's gonna be passed through Fulton County as well.
And that I'm not sure
Yeah.
either.
If it goes directly to the district, it shouldn't be an issue, but if it's gonna go through Fulton County and the district's gonna get a percentage for administration and so on, then
Is Fulton County the, administrator of the Mohawk Coalition now?
I believe so, yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah.
I think they signed a contract with DEC. I believe they have.
Yeah, they did sign the contract.
We reviewed the contract, I know that.
Yeah, something Scott could elaborate on? Scott, Fickbaum?
Scott Fickbaum, do you
No.
have any additional details?
Nope.
Well, yeah, if you're worried about it, Matt, we do have enough voting members on thing that you
Okay.
can abstain from voting.
Okay, if you've got enough, that was what I wasn't sure about either, is if we had enough
Yeah.
members without my vote, so.
That we do.
Army Corps.
I mean, that,
Private Army Corps, like.
you know how you want this to be worded, Bethany?
I think it would just, be that we support the coalition, including state committee in their letter.
Okay, any other discussion, anyone? Motion to support the coalition and their funding in this letter, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, Darren's on. We're getting a kickback, but we got you, Darren. Good, thank you. We'll go to voting. Scott,
Aye.
Darren,
Aye.
gotcha. Okay, Matt,
I won't say.
Erica. Approved. Thank you very much, everyone.
And thank you for that. So the second correspondence we got was from Wendy Walsh of the Upper Susquehanna Watershed Coalition. They have recently updated their memorandum of understanding. So she sent a cover letter in addition to the updated MOU. And the cover letter reads, Please find enclosed a revised memorandum of understanding for the Upper Susquehanna Coalition for the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee signature. Over the last year, I have worked with the 22-member conservation districts to get an updated MOU signed. We are now requesting that the state committee sign our updated MOU. Below is a list of changes made to the original document. Changes include listing additional counties that fall within the watershed, making them eligible to join the USC, and sign the MOU along with some changes in the language that dated the document. So the list of changes are as follows. Page 2, section C5, added Yates and Schoharie. Page 3, section E5, changed tributary strategy to watershed implementation plans in the first sentence. Page 3, section E5B, removed Farm Bill and such as CREP, EQIP, WRP, and changed to supporting various federal programs. Page 4, section G1B, removed December and changed to annual report, and signature section added appropriate counties. The full MOU, as well as this cover letter, was sent to voting members in advance as well. So based on the minor changes to the MOU, they are asking state committee to sign as well. If you have any questions, we can reach out to Wendy Walsh, who is the watershed coordinator and based out of Tioga County Soil and Water.
Questions, discussion, anyone? Like to have a motion then that we agree to, the state committee agrees to sign the MOU.
I'll make motion.
And a second, please. Moved and seconded. Great. We'll go to voting. Scott?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica? Approved. Thank you very much. Before we move on, we have a new arrival. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Dale. Good morning. Caitlin Stewart, President, New York State Conservation District Employees Association. Thank you, Dale.
Glad you could come.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on correspondence, Bethany?
That is it for this month, Dan. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks, everybody. Next on the list, Chastity with AIM-based round 18.
Morning, everybody. So we are looking at resolution 2024-02. We would like to request $5 million from the Ag Non-Point Source round 30 to support year 1 of AEM year 18. This is for 53 districts to participate in this year round of AEM, and that's up 1 district from last round. Any questions that you have?
Okay. Discussion, anyone? Questions? What did you say the change was from last year?
We had 52 districts participate last year. This year we have 53.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so up from last year, and increases in up to $200,000 in implementation for districts that are participating. So lots of great projects going on already.
Hey Chaz, who's the additional soil and water district?
Oh, that's a great question for Greg. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
He just chatted. It's Greene County.
Oh,
Greene
excellent.
County. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greene County, and thank you, Ben.
Welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, we're requesting that a total of $5 million be set aside for that would support the first year of AIM-based round 19. from our round 30 of the Ag Non-Point Source Program. This is something we do routinely, and that 5 million goes to support those technical assistance costs, which, you know, relates back to supporting staff capacity and districts.
Further discussion, anyone? I will add that I think this was a great thing when we started to do this, break this out money separate, not just part of the normal non-point source grant. We get money out so districts can do all the kinds of smaller projects that are needed.
This was also covered with a TAC, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, if no further discussion, we're gonna need a motion to approve the Ag Non-Point Source round 30 funding split. And a second, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you. Voting, Scott?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Passed. Thank you very much, everyone. Anything further on AEM, Chastity?
It's going great. I'm really excited to be seeing a lot of the projects that are actually coming in, and some are even already closing it up. So everything's going really well, and I'm glad to see this slight extension to the construction season here with this break of nice weather, but let's knock on wood for that one. So everything's going good, and everybody's gearing up for conservation skills workshop, and we're starting to plan water quality symposium with lots of AEM elements in it. So pretty excited.
Excellent. Next on our agenda is Ag Non-Point Source, Jason and Tyler.
Bear with me, guys. I'll pull up the dashboards here.
Oh, I do love that picture. Ain't that cool?
That's
Actually, see who's in the room now.
Sorry, apparently I had it up and it's, oh no. Let's try again. There we go. Sorry about that, folks.
perfect. All right, thanks, Bethany. Real quick update on Ag Non-Point Source. 7 active rounds, 365 total contracts across all of those rounds. Well, actually, that's across the 8 rounds. You might see round 22 in the top of that table. I left that in. It has been completely closed out. Go through some stats shortly here.
Great.
But I left it in there just to kind of highlight that it's been closed out completely. Across all of those rounds, just under $122 million in total contract funds. We have 1 pending contract remaining in round 29, which leaves 162 total active contracts across all of those rounds. Sorry, I skipped over the total pending, so it's just over $250,000. Jumping back to the active contracts, 162, just under $63 million across all of those active contracts. Completed contracts, we are up to 182. I will say, because there was no meeting this last month, I had a big slug of closeouts to do. It probably took me a solid day to enter all the closeouts. So a lot of good work going on out there. Total completed dollars, just about $56.5 million. So round 22, Bethany, if you could jump to the next for me, unless there's any questions on the overall dashboard there. Okay. Ag on point, round 22 highlights. So yesterday I just spent a little bit of time. I figured it might be a cool thing to start highlighting each round as we close them out. So this is just some quickly pulled together data from our database. 49 total contracts, only one cancellation across that round. So 48 of those contracts were completed. The entire round included 193 BMP systems. And then those systems are kind of broken apart there in the pie chart. It got a little messy as there were only maybe one system in some of them. So I kind of just focused on really the big heavy hitters there. So as you can kind of see, the big chunk of the pie is soil health systems, 49 of those, buffer systems, 44 of those, waste storage and transfer systems, 33, and livestock heavy use area, 18 of those. And it kind of slowly necks down from there. But 193 BMP systems is pretty substantial across 48 contracts. And to extend that even further, 571 individual best management practices. That's pretty significant. And all of that is across 115 farms. So in many cases, a single farm may do 3 BMP systems, or they may do 1. But in many cases, there are several systems across one farm. For just under $15 million in state funds were allocated to all of those systems to do the implementation. Landowners kicked in about $9.3 million, and sponsor funds was just over $300,000. All right, Bethany, you can run to the next one. So this just kind of breaks apart the individual practices that I mentioned on the last page. The left side table is just a little bit, it's more of the entire breakdown of all of the different practices that were implemented. And then I just really focused on the right-hand side of what were some of the biggest, more substantial practices that were in there. So cover crops, just under 15,000 acres of cover crops were implemented in this round, so round 22. Prescribed grazing, there was a lot of aspects of prescribed grazing in here. So 103,000 feet of fencing, that's pretty substantial. 301,000 square feet of heavy use area protection. Line waterways, pretty substantial. Nutrient management, just over 200 acres of prescribed grazing. Looks like just over 70, almost 80 acres of riparian forest buffers collectively. Stream bank and shoreline protection, structure for water control, 39 waste storage facilities. We also closed 5 facilities, and a lot of watering facilities for those probably grazing systems that were put in. So a lot of great practices, a lot of great work for round 22. So it'll be interesting to start preparing this as we move forward. And I'll try to make an effort to, as we do these highlights for different rounds, as we close them out, I'll try to include examples of projects, work with some districts so they can kind of present projects that they implemented as part of that round, get some pictures in there, and spend a little bit more time on highlighting what the good work that's going on.
Yeah, being 7 years ago, it's kind of interesting to see as we go forward how the practices change.
Yeah. Well, especially as some of the other programs take a more significant role. So like soil health stuff, maybe we're going to see that shifting.
Yeah.
Some of the other practices that maybe were in the smaller section of that pie chart to kind of prevent a little bit more. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And I think at that time, we were really pushing hard to get people to build storages. So it wasn't necessarily just satellites. It was probably farms that never had a storage at that time.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Questions for Tyler, anyone, or comments?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I remember years back, managing the program, there was a lot of farmstead work, concentrated sources, and, I think that's what I highlighted here as a kind of a shift. Still going on for sure, but a lot less, in numbers and intensity, you know, switching more toward the field level, practices.
Yeah, this is Paul from Health. Yeah, I noticed the same thing, Brian, which which I think is healthy for the program. I mean, it means that we've addressed hopefully a lot of the farmstead issues over the years, and you know, getting out on the land itself. So I see it as a positive thing for the life of the program.
Tyler, I really like this highlight and how you've pulled out units and given us sort of more to digest here. I think it's really impressive seeing all of this on paper. Nice work.
Yeah, and just to kind of point out, I think Vic kind of just pointed out, so in the units column, you might notice some quirky errors and stuff like that. That's stuff that we're working on internally. So Vic, you pointed out roots and covers. Yeah. So that's usually a discrepancy. Sometimes it comes in on the SW forms, so it's not 700 or 7,600 roofs and covers. Someone may have put in square feet or something like that. So there's just a lot of data cleaning, and that's all the more reason to keep updating our forms and kind of keep working together on that. But yeah, no, it's super impressive, the data that we have at our fingertips. It really is.
The other thing I'm interested in seeing as you compare in the future is the landowner funds compared to the state funds, because it's actually pretty large, the landowner fund on this one.
From my short time here, I've always noticed that it's at least 50-50. It's landowners are contributing a lot of time and a lot of personal funds.
Excellent. Anything else, Tyler, on that?
I'm all set, not unless there's other questions.
Amendments?
We do have a number of amendments.
Thanks. That's an awesome report. So I'll go through amendments today for the Ag Non-Point Source program. First ones, we're gonna just make you aware of where the staff approved amendments. These are all regions. I won't go through the regions. They were approved by the respective regional AEAs from region 2 and 3. So if anyone has any questions on those, you can let us know. We try to get material out to you beforehand. Again, there's no motion or movement needed on these, just for your education. For state committee consideration, I will run through each region. I'll start with region 1, Allegheny County Soil and Water Conservation District, round 26, C701402. The farm is looking for a 1-year no-cost time extension to complete the riparian buffer system on contract. They have completed the complementary waste storage and transfer system on this contract, but they needed the additional time. The reason being was that they experienced temporary financial hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which delayed implementation. However, they are now recovered and at full speed, and they're committed to completing the final BMP system for the project. Vic DiGiacomo, Region 1 AEA supports the request, but refers to the state committee for their decision.
Any comments, Vic?
Jason, you summarized that really well. I'll just add that it's, I find it encouraging that the district and the farm are both invested in getting the riparian buffer installed at this point in the game. So that's great to see.
Questions, comments, anyone? Motion, please.
I'll move.
And a second? I think I heard a second. Good, thank you. Voting, Scott?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Approved, thank you. Next,
Awesome. Okay, we'll move on to Region 2. This is for Onondaga County Soil and Water Conservation District for round 26. Contract number is C701431. This is the Otisco Lake and Onondaga Lake Watershed Ag Non-Point Source Reduction Plan. So this is a cover crop implementation project. There are still 4 pending farms needed to complete the acres that were originally contracted. I have listed the amount of acres down below for you. They're at different levels of completion. However, the district does have plans to meet with farmers one more time this season to come up with a plan to finish the contracted acres per farm. So each farm has expressed interest and has gone through the first 2 years of implementation, but just looking for some further guidance from the district to meet goals. So we are looking for a 6-month time extension to just complete these last, so 1 more growing season. This was PJ Emmerich's region in Region 2. He supports the request, but refers to state committee.
comments, PJ?
No, thanks, Jason. I think that summarized it very well.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
moved and seconded, voting, Scott? Darren?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Thank you, approved. Next,
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to our last region for the amendments. So in Region 3, Albany County Soil and Water Conservation District is looking for an extension under round 26. Contract number C701401, the Beaver Dam Fox Creek CNMP implementation project. The Conservation District is looking for a 6-month no-cost time extension to complete site inspection and to verify engineer as-built and certification. All practices were completed on the farm, but they have just had difficulty getting an engineer on site to sign off on final approvals and final design work. So they're just looking for 6 months to continue through the rest of the next year's season and make sure everything is done with design, sign off, and contract paperwork on our end. So Scott Fickbaum, Region 3 AEA, has supported this also, but he refers to state committee. Scott's with us on the line. If there's any questions, I can help too.
comments, Scott?
Only to report that some of that work has proceeded since the request had been submitted, but it's not complete, and so the request is still needed by Albany so that any engineering bills fall within the contract periods. And thanks, Jason, for that summary. That was great.
Questions, comments, anyone? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
moved and seconded, we'll go to voting. Scott?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica? Approved. Thank you. Next,
Okay, our last few amendments are for Montgomery County Soil and Water Conservation District. Before now here with us today, they've done great. So the first one I'll go over is the round 26 C701426 Ridgedale project. The district is looking for an 18-month no-cost time extension to complete remaining BMP systems on the contract. The project was slowed down due to COVID, but farms and district are now fully engaged with implementation. Thus far, a waste storage facility, access control system, and erosion control system have been completed. However, there are remaining crosswater and stream bank systems to be completed in this project. Also, the heavy use area protection system has been designed and is out for bid. This is on schedule for completion. The project is anticipated to be completed before the above amended contract date. Scott Fickbaum also supports this, is online for additional questions, as am I. So refer to committee for their decision.
comments, Scott?
No, I think the project, from what I understand from Montgomery, is well underway. So construction is a lot of the projects have already been done. But I think I saw Corey in the room there, and I would defer to him if he wants to make any comments or say anything.
You got a question? On schedule. Just extend.
Thanks, Corey.
Good, thank you. Any comments, questions, anyone? Motion, please.
So moved.
And a second, Moved and seconded. Go to voting. Scott?
Have to abstain.
Yep, good. Darren?
Aye.
Matt? Couldn't hear anything. Matt?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry. Erica?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. Anything else on the non-point source?
More, amendment, same conservation district. This is a round 27, contract number C701470, Canjo 27. The district is looking for a 1 year and 9-month, no cost time extension for the project. Difficulty for the farm was finding appropriate landowner match to meet their financial obligation to the project. They have received funding through EQIP this year. However, they are moving slowly on archaeology portions of the project. This is moving forward with the district, and the district is ready to install the storage and heavy use area protection portions of the contract. However, just waiting on our partners at NRC to be able to move forward with archaeology. So the district anticipates breaking ground with construction early next spring and completing the project by the above amended contract date. Scott Fickbaum, Region 3 AEA, supports the request but refers to state committee. Scott and I are here, as is Corey, to answer any questions on this project.
Comments, Scott?
No, I don't have any comments. I'd defer to Corey if he wants to say anything.
Well, I think this project, the farmer's ready to go full swing, and they just signed a contract with NRCS Equip in August, and I thought we were in great shape, and then NRCS came back and said it's 9 months to get through the archaeology issues, and it's not even in a SHPO area, so it's a non-archaeologically sensitive area. Doesn't seem to matter to them. I also have a previously previously disturbed, and they want us full SHPO on that one too, so I guess we just I stalled out. I can't get over the hurdle with this one, but then RCS asked them to if they could expedite the archaeology and told me 8 months. So
Good luck. Any comments or further questions or anything, anyone? Motion, please. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Voting, Scott?
I must abstain again.
Yep, I forgot. My apologies. Darren?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Anything further yet? Jason?
Not for me on amendments or program overview. I'll be talking to you guys a little later on round 30 though, but thank you for the time.
Tyler, anything? Great, thank you. CRF, Jennifer and Tyler.
All right. Next, down, we'll fire up the other dashboard. All right, excellent. CRF program updates, 5 active rounds, 158 total contracts across all of those rounds. Estimated value, oh, well, it's not estimated, it's an exact number, but $32.5 million across those 5 rounds. 58 pending contracts for round 7, and that's about $15.5 million right there. We have 2 active contracts that were recently switched over for round 7, but that brings us up to 65 active contracts, and that's just over $11 million. Completed contracts, similar to Ag Non-Point, we did have a couple closings come in. So we're up to 45 completed contracts, and that's just over $4 million. Any questions on the dashboards?
Any amendments?
No amendments this month. I'll just add that for the round 7,
We do have more contracts in that round that are being approved internally and already moving towards execution. So that number of active contracts in that round should absolutely be increased by the next meeting. Happy to report that. So districts will be able to start on those projects with their executed contracts soon. We don't have any amendments this month. I do want to provide just a quick update about round 9. We're starting to work on the RFP development. I just wanted to share a draft timeline for that round. We've talked to at the SPAC meetings and the TAC meetings about this timeline. And it's going to be similar to round 8.
Sorry,
No problem, no problem. It's gonna be similar to round 8, where we'll try to announce in early 2025, with applications due around June 2025, with review of applications during the summer next month, and then announcements about this time next month or this time next year for round 9. So trying to hit Climate Week 2025 for round 9, just like we're hitting Climate Week 2024 for round 8. So try and keep on a similar timeline, and I'll bring back the update to that RFP at a later meeting. So that was just kind of a quick timeline update I wanted to provide where we're at with round 9. That's all I have for CRF. We'll do the ranked list later on the agenda.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is voting advisory staff reports. We'll start with Caitlin.
Thank you. CDEA had a great meeting last week for September. I want to thank Vic and Scott for attending in person. We are gearing up for Conservation Skills Workshop next week. The committee has received good feedback from conservation districts on the breadth and the technicality of the courses that have been offered. And Melissa, I'll send you my full report, so no worries there. Jessica, our vice president, has been working hard on the 2025 Water Quality Symposium. This year, we are headed to the Rochester Hyatt, so we're going to Western New York. Jessica is working with track chairs to coordinate our instructors as well as our class topics. And I do have a save the date. So the 2025 Water Quality Symposium will be held March 11th through 14th. Dustin Lewis from Saratoga County and Clerk Caitlin are organizing the administrative conference. A save the date has been sent statewide, and that will be held the 18th and 19th of November. And Dustin is coordinating classes, working with clerks, and that will be a great conference. At our September CDEA meeting, we did approve $3,000 for the state committee's December managers meeting. So we're happy to support you, and we're looking forward to a great conversation. And I feel like this will roll in nicely. We are also hosting a managers meeting at the November admin conference. So whatever comes out of that meeting, we will be able to continue the conversation and really work to progress any issues or questions or concerns. And I want to thank our New York State Fair Committee for hosting an incredible event. I attended on a Saturday around Labor Day, and I had a clicker with me. I spoke with 309 people. This year's focus was careers in conservation, and a lot of college graduates came right to the booth, and we were able to disseminate some really great information about what conservation districts are and what we can offer new employees. So kudos to Kristen White and the entire committee for working so hard on that. And also the state and national envirothons were great successes, extending a thank you to those committees as well. New York hosted the NCF Envirothon with teams from across the globe coming to New York. They traveled to Niagara Falls for a field trip. They had a beautiful week, and testing was hard, competition was tight, and I do believe that our New York State team placed second. So very, very competitive.
That's correct, Caitlin.
Oh, thanks, Chaz. Thank you.
Yep.
And Bethany, that's all for me unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin, real quick, did you say the 11th through the 14th for symposium?
March 11th through 14th, 2025.
Okay, so did you shift it to a Monday oh, no, never mind, you're good.
Should be a Tuesday through Friday, 11th through
You got
14th.
it, sorry. Yep, my calendar's weird. Gotta replace it. Hey, Caitlin, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Jess.
Happy
birthday. Thank you, Dale.
Just had to slide it in. Thanks, Caitlin.
Good to get you, Chaz.
I know.
PJ,
Great, thank you. For Region 2, business has been progressing nicely. It's been fairly busy and steady. Just a quick update on the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition of Soil and Water Districts. Things are moving along quite nicely there. Plan on touching base with Tony and Kiyuga here later today and later this week. But I've been working with Brian and Bethany on a lot of the contracting or capacity funding items that we need to do. And I think those are moving up the chain appropriately. So we're excited to hear about that. I've also been working on the conservation skills workshop for the stormwater course, but unfortunately we did have to cancel that. It's unfortunate, but we couldn't get access to the site at the last minute. So we had to kind of drop that course, but we do anticipate having other stormwater opportunities either at the Water Quality Symposium or other events throughout the year. So shouldn't be hard for those that have the CPES credential or the New York CERT credential to get your credit hours that you need. So more to come on trainings in that regard. Finger Lakes Round 2 interim reporting is coming up. It's due at the end of the month, so I'll be working with Tom at Yates. Yates County is the administrator for those funds. We did receive an enhanced allocation of $50,000 for that particular program, so we'll include that in our interim report, so that's a good thing. Also, kind of a unique thing with the Finger Lakes Cover Crop Initiative in general is that I worked with DEC with Tony and Amy Klinkhammer and a few of their folks and got some data from Tyler. And we put together a nice article that'll be published in the October, November issue of the New York State Conservationist magazine. And really what it does, it provides an opportunity for lay people, so to speak, to understand cover crops. But most importantly, what it does is it explains the partnership between the districts, the state committee, Ag and Markets, and DEC. So keep an eye out for those of you who subscribe to that magazine. There's some good photos in there from around our region, and I'd encourage you to check it out. Other than that, grant closeouts are coming in. I've got some scheduled for next week down in Cortland and a few others kind of coming in here and there. And then I've also had a few board trainings that I'm going to be doing here later this fall for performance measures. So other than that, that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
PJ, will you send me the cover crop article for CDA
Yeah,
News
certainly.
and some pictures? Thanks.
Yep, will
Great.
do.
Sounds awesome. It's great to highlight that partnership.
Sure.
Great. Thanks.
Vic?
I don't have too much to say, other than Region 1 is coming along like Region 2 is. As Tyler mentioned earlier, there's a lot of good work occurring out there throughout the state. Grant workload continues to be pretty steady. Closeouts continue to arrive in the inbox at a steady pace. I'll just also touch on the coalitions in my region. The Lake Erie Watershed Protection Alliance, LUPA, continues to work on their contract with the state committee, focused on the promotion of 4R, good stewardship and nutrient management in the Lake Erie Basin. The Genesee River Coalition is currently involved with a new initiative that will start later this month. It's the first inaugural meeting of the Genesee River Watershed Advisory Committee. The mission of this group is to push forward a final implementation plan for the basin. So happy to see the coalition and state committee involved with that effort. Other than that, as I said, things keep coming along out in Western New York, trainings, more training opportunities out our way. Just a few weeks ago, we convened an intro to AEM training for newer technicians, a precursor to opportunities that will be available at Skills Workshop later this month. And other than that, some tabletop desktop trainings in the works at NYACD in October, at the admin conference and symposium are all coming up and planned for the future. So thanks for the time.
Thanks. Tyler?
Lots of data management the last couple of weeks, working with a few districts to migrate all of our program data into a district-specific database, so they have all of our program information at their fingertips. Working on a few trainings, upcoming trainings for ArcGIS, and doing some watershed hydrology type stuff. Working with some districts. Are actually partners, so working with DEC on just making sure our tools align and just being consistent between all of our programs. So we're trying to maintain that process a little bit. That's it for me.
Same in Region 4, pretty similar to the other guys from the state. I'm going to be joining CDA Division 5 tomorrow up in Hamilton County. Looking forward to that. With some forestry workshops, and the weather looks good, so that should be exciting. Getting into the last quarter of the year, checking in with districts on performance measures, board trainings, making sure people kind of hit their marks before we run out of time towards the end of the year. Keeping track of AEM 18 projects, trying to encourage some districts to do some closeouts as projects kind of wind down, just so we can kind of reduce the major closeout towards the end of next year for AEM. So things are going well on that front. I know a lot of our staff is involved with the skills workshop coming up next week, attending, also presenting, organizing. Same goes for NYACD here in October. Many of us on the staff here are going to be doing some presentations and attending and kind of networking with folks from our partnerships. So mostly what I got, unless there's any questions for me. Thanks.
Scott?
Yeah, Region 3 is pretty steady in terms of closeouts with round 26 and round 5 of CRF expiring. A number of extensions that you just saw, but I think all the closeouts are coming through. I think I want to say I had over 20 contracts in those two programs due at the same time, and the districts have really been doing an excellent job of getting them in on time, and I think in pretty good shape. So I'll also report out a little bit on coalition. Tyler and I both attended the buffer task force meeting held quarterly by the Upper Susquehanna Coalition. I'd encourage anybody to attend one of these meetings. They are really well attended. There are probably 35, 40 people in the room. They've transitioned now from primarily a riparian buffer group to also encompassing afforestation. I was able to give them a little bit of detail on our upcoming MOU with the Divisional Lands of Forest, which they were very interested in, and see that as a potential vehicle to facilitate funding, similar to how they use the MOU with a Division of Water. In the room, there were 3 representatives from EPA, 1 from New York City, I think 2 from Maryland, talking about post-2025, now that the TMDL is wrapping up and their look forward. Not too much information, solid information, sort of like a fluffy talk, if you will, get to know you, how are you, very appreciative of the work that the districts do. So it was very nice to see and hear that sort of support from them. The kinds of things that get reported out at a buffer task force meeting are a lot of research. So USC's been studying the effectiveness of using stone around planted trees, which is a very interesting concept coming out of the Stroud Research Center, I think in Pennsylvania. They noted that there is a shortage of contractors out there to do buffer and afforestation type work. They did a really in-depth analysis of survival across all of their programs, and basically it's coming back pretty good, mostly in the 70% plus for programs like their USC water quality program and trees for tribs, and for crap, Agnon point source and other 60% survival and up. So really good information there. They had numbers on containerized stock versus bare root, which were both 80 and 76% respectively. So not too much of a difference there. They reported out on their steward program, which operates across all 16 counties in the watershed. I think they logged 1,300 volunteer hours to get all these trees in, thousands and thousands of trees. Unfortunately, I don't think I have the exact number, but for example, Trees for Tribs did 5,000 trees just within that program on non-ag land. Lydia reported that a Forest Service application for $1.2 million to fund capacity building for this team was declined. So they are still in need of funding for growing their staff, maintaining their staff. I think it was identified as the #1 limiting factor beyond the scarcity of contractors to get the projects done. The project sites seem to be presenting themselves, but a hard time getting the contractors or being able to staff that stuff themselves. There's quite a bit more than implementation. You can tell from the types of research, stewardship activities that they take on, that it really is a cradle to grave sort of monitoring and babysitting of these buffers, if you will, and they that result in all these high survival rates. So kudos to them. You know, their next meeting is coming up in hold on a moment, December, and again, I would just encourage people to go. It seems like planting trees is going to be a part of our conservation future, and I think they're leading the way. So good to always to get together with USC and see what they're doing. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Darren, you have anything?
I don't believe so, Dale.
All right, thank you. Erica, do you have anything?
Nothing on my end.
Thanks. Turn it over to you, Bethany.
Thanks, Dale, and I do want to just be mindful of the time. We are running a little bit behind, but I'll let.
I have nothing.
I will just report out that the past couple weeks have been very, very busy with subcommittee meetings. On August 29th, we held a State Programs Advisory Committee meeting with our Soil and Water Conservation District partners to review some final proposed changes and get their feedback on the round 30 RFP. Jennifer also reviewed the timeline that she shared today with that group. And we discussed a draft procedure that we would like the state committee to consider when we set aside funds from one of our cost share programs to help standardize the process for considering what projects are supported with those funds. Based on the feedback from that meeting, I think there's some tweaks that we want to make, but that will be coming in the future. The week following that, on September 5th, we had a technical advisory committee meeting where we reviewed basically the same information, but with our advisory members. Per our standard protocol, we presented our draft RFP to that group for round 30, as well as the application form, and Jennifer shared the timeline. At the TAC meeting, I think Brian mentioned it earlier, we also presented the AIM-based funding split for consideration and support. I think going forward into 2025, we're really going to be focusing on getting back to a more regular meeting schedule and really commit to sticking to that quarterly meeting schedule to bring that advisory group back together more often, continue to build those partnerships and really use it as a information sharing, kind of let's grow and learn from each other type of platform. More to come on that. Is there?
Good. Region 5, kind of more of the same, like the other regional coordinators had said. Some site visits for closeouts, also a lot of one-on-one discussions, both in person, over the phone with different districts. A lot of new staff managing programs that they had before, like AIM, as we mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. All good, all productive. Really smart people out there that are definitely trying to advance their programs, which is great to see. State aid front, we sent out the 2025 Part B Conservation Project Assistance Request last week to districts. That's the $6,000 project. That's due November 1st into me, along with the claim for payments from the district. So the sooner you get those into me, the sooner I can process them, and usually payments go out middle of December or so. We also put in our monthly report that we send out to districts that for next year, 2025, performance measures are not going to change. They're going to remain the same. We did a lot of work at the end of last year to get a lot of feedback from districts with a survey and some meetings. Excuse me. So we're going to wait until we get the reporting in for our this year, 2024. Kind of do a more of an in-depth analysis of the changes and tweaks we made to performance measures last year, reanalyze, have some meetings with districts towards the beginning quarter of 2025 and see what changes we want to make for next year. So that's the current plan, and we will take that forward.
We are planning at our upcoming state committee meeting to present, what we plan to put out there for 2025, although it'll be the same as last year. But do want to bring it to this committee for your consideration.
We'll review it, kind of what we did last year, go over what's currently in there, update the performance measure worksheet for next year, even though it will basically be the same, other than I think we're adding in a few more, or at least one more option for performance measure 1G, like a permanent approval that we approved earlier this year. So other than that, it should pretty much be the same.
And the committee will review the percentages and confirm.
Yeah.
I remember a few years back, we heard some feedback from districts and try to keep it like in a 2-year cycle. So that follows also, that practice where make significant changes 1 year and follow those changes to the next, and then.
Yeah, because without any data, we really don't have anything to go off of to make changes other than feedback from the districts, which is obviously what we want to hear. But we have no data to really support anything of how it's going. So that's what we're looking to do. That's it for me.
Scott?
NYACD annual meeting is coming up a little over a month from now in Penn, October 21st to the 22nd. Registrations are open. The early bird registration closed last Friday. The Northeast Regional NACD meeting will be hosted by New York next year, and RFPs are out for venues across the state.
So NCF and Marathon this year, Northeast NACD next year?
Yes.
Wow, you got.
22 is busy.
Yeah.
And that's going to be held in conjunction with the NYACD annual meeting, correct?
Correct, yes.
2 at once.
Real quick, there's a planned ACA meeting on September 26th. I know Dale's gonna be coming to Albany for that, obviously Sam Casella as well. And we also are working on our first Wood Products Development Council meeting since taking that council over within Division 1 of Water Resources. Will be sometime early October. And so we're excited to get that council back up and running again. And one thing that Ben left out, but I'll just cover real quick, we're also working with Scenic Hudson, Dutchess County Soil and Water District, and Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett's office to hold a final outreach event on the Hudson Valley Carbon Fund Pilot Project, which is a longstanding project in the Hudson Valley over the last 5 years. Has it been 5 years?
2019, yeah.
Wow. So great body of work done through that specific legislative pilot, and we'll be doing a farm walk on one of the participating farms in Dutchess County, and that will be October 17th. So we'll report back after that event. Many thanks to the district, Dutchess County, but all the districts in that region participate in that project.
Thank you. Melissa?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Corey?
No.
Thank you. And I'll just do a quick run through advisory members who might be on the line. Anyone else from Ag and Markets? Okay, how about DEC?
No updates from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of State?
Not much from me. I will say the final draft of the Skinny Atlas 9 element plan was submitted just a week ago, maybe to DEC and Department of State for review. So we are hoping, as long as no major changes are required, to have an approved 9E by the end of the year. So that's exciting. And that's about it. Our Bond Act funding, in particular, the coastal program that Soil and Waters will be eligible to apply for, are still expected this fall. As we all know, getting approval for all of it takes longer than you expect. So I was hoping for end of August, but now I'm hoping for the end of September, maybe October.
Fingers crossed for that.
Yes.
Did you go through the public notice?
We did, and we didn't realize that to reply to comments we needed even more approvals. So it's our response to questions is with our attorney and team, and then it has to go to DC, then it has to go to chamber before it gets posted, and then once that happens, we can release the RFA. But we have pretty much everything ready to go once that we hit all of those steps.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kate. How about Department of Health?
Nothing to report at this time. I will comment that I relate to what Department of State Karen had to say about all the approvals necessary for we go through that every time we revise the filtration avoidance determination for New York City. You know, just the plethora of approvals needed to respond to comments, just every level of the process. So good luck with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
NRCS.
Get my mute off. Not much, just sort of a word of updating you on where things stand in the world of agreements, which is my main sphere of influence. So all of the fiscal year 2025 new agreements that we've formed with partners like local districts, those are coming to a close. We've acquired all documentation and we are wrapping it up so that they go into the system by the end of this month. Basically, those are all due no later than September the 30th. And that means the partner signs, NRCS signs, and it's a done deal. Then those new agreements will start for fiscal year 2025. Because everything we do, of course, is from October 1st through September 30th fiscal years. So if there's any partners who have been considering entering into a new agreement with NRCS, that is something I would want to work with them on starting in the fall and hoping that we can have all of our paperwork, all the documentation together by the end of December. And that would be for brand new agreements for next year, for fiscal year 2026. So if you've been bearing that in mind and had an interest, whether it be a MOU, memorandum of understanding, a cooperative or a contribution agreement, districts have monitored wetlands on behalf of NRCS. They've partnered in numerous other areas. If that's something you're interested in, you can reach out to me, or you start with your local assistant state conservationist for field operations. That's Dennis Luis or Tony Caprero, according to what area you're in. And that's how you get the ball rolling. But either way, that's something we'd like to start pursuing in the fall and trying to have paperwork wrapped up by December. Those are my time frames. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Would you be able to put some of that information in an email or and send it to me, and then we can actually blast it out to all our soil and water districts on our listserv in case they aren't able to call in today, then they will have that information.
I appreciate that. Is it okay if it's a bit choppy, the way that I presented it? Sort of like just in little bullets.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. And then, you know, the contact information for folks to, you know, who they can reach out to for more information, that will be important too.
Okay, no problem. And I'm sorry, just for those who don't know me, I was at your last meeting, but introductions are quick. I am the Assistant State Conservationist for Partnerships within RCS New York. So yes, I manage all of the agreements for our state. All right, thanks, Bethany.
Thank you very much.
Bethany, may I ask, this is Caitlin, CDEA, may I ask Alana a question?
Sure.
Elena?
Thank you. Elena, this is Caitlin Stewart from the New York State Conservation District Employees Association. NRCS is always invited to attend our bi-monthly Employees Association's meetings, and Blake is not responsive. Elena, may I invite you to our upcoming meeting in November, and would you be willing to bolster our partnership with NRCS?
You can invite me to the November meeting. I will do my best. And I will tell you as bluntly as I tell everyone, and I'm sorry, I'm a very straight to the point person. I won't be attending every meeting, as I have numerous with all of our partners throughout the state, as well as our workload for managing agreements, outreach, and public affairs on my team. But yes, send me the invitations. Don't be disappointed that I may be there 1 month and then next month I'm not there. Then the next month, someone from my staff may represent. You know, we try to reach out and attend meetings as we're able. So with that understanding, I would be honored. Please do send me the invitation. And I will throw my email address in the chat just so that you don't have to wait for the email I'm going to send Bethany. And real quick, I'm sorry, what was the name of your group? You gave an acronym.
The New York State Conservation District Employees Association. So we are part of a four-way partnership, and the last time that NRCS has attended one of our CDEA meetings was last July. And my job is to make sure that we are upholding our four-way partnership. And if you would like to save a calendar date, our November meeting is November 13th and 14th. We offer hybrid meetings with both in-person and virtual options for attendance. Elena, thank you very much.
No problem. And thank you for making hybrid an option as well. That helps for what it's worth. Okay.
100%.
Yeah, completely agree. The hybrid option is wonderful and one that I take advantage of quite frequently, being unable to travel to be to meetings in person. So thank you. Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Morning. I don't really have any specific updates, just this time of year where our extension offices are having our annual meetings, so hopefully they're in your counties, they're reaching out to the districts to invite you to see what extension locally's been up to.
I think we lost you, Dan. Feel free to add any additional updates to the chat. How about Cornell Cals?
Dan out of Ithaca.
No, he's out of Cuba.
Jared here. Nothing really new to report. I'll be at the Conservation Skills Workshop helping out with a Stream Smart class, trying to keep DEC in line with some of that information, and continue to work on the culvert model. I think I have a good path forward to be able to help folks out with kind of more culvert data and modeling. So more to come on that.
Thank you. How about SUNY ESF? Okay, that concludes our advisory reports. Just for the sake of time, I'll put it out there to any of the remaining staff on the line. If you have a report, please share it, but I'm not going to go through and call you one by one.
Thanks, Bethany. Just real quick, this is Greg Albrecht. 3 quick things. First, happy birthday, Caitlin. Second, I want to give our sincere thanks to Jason Kokinos for his quick study and conscientious work since rejoining the state committee team back in the spring and overseeing program management of Ag Knot Point Source, the CAFO programs, and Source Water Buffer. And also want to update everybody that Jason has other responsibilities and roles in life and is going to be starting parental leave for the next several weeks into early December. So Bethany and I will be pinch hitting for those program administration roles, and we'll have access to his email. So hopefully we won't skip a beat, and we'll keep that continuity there while Jason's with family. Bethany will play point on Ag Knot Point Source program efforts, and I'll play point on CAFO program related efforts, whether prior waste storage and transfer system or current and upcoming enhanced nutrient and methane program versions of it. Last update I want to give is really looking forward to Conservation Skills Workshop. On the side over here, there's a few robust email threads going with several of instructors putting the final touches onto those classes. And I was just finishing up the CCA sheets for it, looking at the agenda, and really want to give a heartfelt thanks to everybody who's making these classes tick. Just looking through the agenda, we've got farmers, district staff, awesome state committee staff, NRCS, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Morrisville, USC, BOCES, the Nature Conservancy, WRI, DEC, and private sector consultants and engineers. So that's really awesome partnership that's coming together to do some great classes next week. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you, Greg. Any other state committee staff? Okay, and then I do want to provide the opportunity for any Soil and Water Conservation District who is on the line or member of the public to please come off mute and provide an update if you wish.
Well, one of the things I'm just thinking of, listening to Caitlin speak, is, the partnership between us and NRCS. When I talk to other districts, there's a lot of disconnect between districts and NRCS. And then to hear that they're not participating in the partnership meetings with the CDEA used to be a big commitment to, with the Employees Association, keep that out. I was on subcommittee meetings with NRCS, and it seems maybe we gotta find a way to revitalize that relationship with NRCS. I think, there's some, they forget that they're here to help us with our locally driven programs, and it seems like they've taken off on their own platform, and they got, so they're definitely, I see a lot of districts, when I talk to district managers, like, oh, we don't deal with NRCS anymore, it's too complicated, and I have had this strain in my office, we decided not to really go after NRCS programs, and we changed back on course because of the financial resources that farmers need. But I think that relationship needs to, need to be strengthened, and we're not getting any response. Caitlin's not getting a response back from Blake, and I think maybe, and, I offered to do to Blake and Tony Capero, if they can't get the archaeology done, I'll sign an MOU. It's gotta be a federal employee or done through a federal contract. I can't do it. I can't do TIPO. But they, it's a very, very difficult bureaucracy that when I'm trying to work with NRCS and all the other districts, and a lot of these districts just sort of going in their own direction and letting NRCS kind of fall out of the importance. And I think I think that partnership should be maintained or redeveloped somehow. I don't know how to do that.
I believe
Yeah,
it all begins, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Elena.
Thank you. I do apologize. I have to hop off shortly. I have another meeting that I have to attend as well. But I believe everything begins with a conversation. So as I was invited to you guys' meeting, I intend to be there. And that's where it starts. I'm new to my role. I don't know most of the groups I will be working with. And I've spent an abundance of my first year not only learning my agreement role, my staff, hiring new staff, and trying to get out to meet with as many partners as I am able. That's why I'm attending here. It opens the door and gives me avenues to learn of others that we have in New York State. So I look forward to sitting around the table with you guys or across the screen, according to the location. And hopefully we can explore that a little deeper, figure out like where the main hangouts are. I know that we do have quite the standards that we are held to as a federal agency, and that has been difficult, even for our own staff. Cultural resources has come up at numerous leadership team meetings that I've attended, and we are aware that's a major issue in our state. It's holding up several projects, and it is being worked on. I hate that that's all I can speak to that, but it hasn't gone unnoticed, and we are in the process of fixing it. That falls under the state resource conservationist staff, and she is doing extensive work to remedy the situation, including bringing in additional support in the form of other cultural resource specialists. But yeah, it starts with a conversation, us figuring out like, what do we need? What are the issues? I don't know what all of those are from the district's perspective. And being partnerships, I would be one of your first lines of contact, along with your assistant state con for field ops. I'm trying to be very mindful not to step on their toes in the process while I'm making my rounds as well. Blake's schedule is way busier than mine. Since I've arrived, I have noticed he spends an abundance of time traveling, more than I do. And I'm sure that the omission of your emails was not intentional. I just know he receives from numerous partners, and we're trying to transition many of those over to me. It takes time, also for just the word to get out that I'm even here. So for what it's worth, I look forward to meeting with you guys in November. And I believe that was the event that I attended last year when you had your meeting. I don't know if it was in the Terrytown area. I can't remember the location, but anyway, I did present. I could have sworn it was at with Blanche.
That was probably the NYACD meeting, the New York Association of Conservation Districts meeting.
Thank you. Got to keep my acronyms. ACD. Okay. Well, anyway, I just wanted to contribute that for what it's worth. And yeah, I'll be quiet now.
No, not at all. Thank you, Elena, and really do appreciate you calling into our state committee meetings and providing all that background. I think we all can commit to work a little bit better together. As I just mentioned, the advisory members to the state committee, we want to, reinvigorate that group in 2025 and continue to build on those partnerships. So I think we all have our plates overflowing with meetings, and it is extremely difficult to make it to them all. So we appreciate everything you guys do. And another comment I'll just add in there, I think historically it's been a challenge to kind of match up our state programs and our federal programs, and agree that's something we can keep on working towards to try to make it easier for soil and water districts and the farms out there to benefit from them both. There is a hand raised, Corey Humphrey.
All done?
There's a hand raised, I saw, Corey Humphrey. Okay. Unfortunately, folks, we are extremely over our time. So if there are any additional reports or comments, I do ask you please put that into the chat for the meeting.
Thanks, everyone. Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for November 12th. We won't have an October meeting. Voting members, how do you think?
That's fine, Dale. Are we still meeting in October, though that trip to Cornell or whatever is off?
Correct. Unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts and other commitments, we had to cancel that.
And that's the reason we're kind of moving the meeting ahead 1 week in November, because we're totally going to cancel the October one.
Does that overlap with your district board meeting? We kind of moved it up. That meeting schedule got moved up. So it didn't.
Yeah, that would be, that would be the same day as our district board meeting.
Okay.
We may be able to figure something out.
Well, I wouldn't want them to reschedule that. It provided other voting members. We have quorum with other voting members.
Well, if it looks like you're not gonna have enough members, let me know and I'll see if we can switch something.
Erica, what do you think?
That works for me.
Matt? I already talked. I'm sorry, Matt. Darren?
November 12th, you said, right?
Yes?
It should work, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we can do the same like we are now, electronic. Scott?
I'd make it work, sure.
Well, let's shoot for it then. And if we have to change, just do the last minute something, we will, but we'll go for next meeting, November 12th. Bethany, you want to explain now how we want to proceed?
Yes. So we will be motioning into an executive session. So how that's going to work with some of our folks online, our voting members, I will have to send you to a breakout room. So you guys in Syracuse, Darren and Erica, I will send you to a breakout room and we will, go in there to have our discussion. Following that, we will motion out of executive session to kind of come back to the main group. Then, pursuant to our ethics advisory opinion, because we're going to be talking about a draft RFP and a proposed rank list, we're going to have to ask all of the districts, district board members who are on the line, farmers who are on the line to leave the meeting at that time. But all of our advisory members, including the CDEA representative, can participate in that portion of the agenda. So this next, couple agenda items might be a little clunky to move in and out of our sessions, but we'll figure it out. So I guess for the executive session, I will ask everyone except the voting members to please exit the rooms. If you're in Syracuse or in Albany, and we'll go from there. So.
We will probably be about 20 minutes is all. Do we have to change this?
Actually, if somebody in Syracuse can just hang on, make sure Dale can get into the breakout room, that would be helpful.
We do have to change it.
Oh, yeah, I guess, okay, we got it.
Okay, Tyler's got to stay here and get it flipped over for me.
Check me. Yeah, I gotta assign them.
Ben, do you want Melissa to stay just to take notes?
Yes, please.
Motion to go into executive session, please.
Oh, yeah.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, we're going over.
All right.
Press to any time.
Oh, yeah, there on the top. Press 2 at any time, okay.
Signed. See if it works. Or Chaz though. Oh, keypad. Did it say? *2.
Well, that's a way to clear out a room. There's only a few of us left.
Ah, holy cow, I thought only I had that ability.
No.
Apparently,
You don't.
Bethany's quiet.
Yeah, no, hopefully it looks like they got in there, so. How's the weather down there today, Greg?
It's beautiful. I'm keeping fingers crossed that it stays for next week.
It is up here. I haven't looked for Auburn yet.
Yeah, it's looking,
I wouldn't mind slightly cooler.
it looks awesome.
Good. Let's
This
hope
is
it
good.
stays that way.
Yep.
I recently read a New York Times article that says that in the North Country or in like the northeast of the United States, they can only predict weather out really well for 3 days. So we'll have to see. But it's interesting to see that that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's we're in a really stuck pattern. I mean, it's just kind of continental wide pattern, so it's not really intrinsic to the Northeast per se.
No.
Yeah. But I mean, it's basically deflecting any rain away from us.
And I guess with the amount of rain we've gotten, we always kind of get the same amount. So it's just when you get it.
Right.
Yep.
Harvest is going well. At least down in the Finger Lakes, we're talking to a couple farmers who are helping us with classes next week. And
nice.
We had the handshake agreement that if they were busy in the field, we'd find another way without their input.
Yep.
And they're like, nope, I think we're gonna have everything packed in and ready to go by next week. So it's
Wow.
really, really awesome.
Is that corn or like
Yeah, corn silage. Yeah.
Really?
In these two cases.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's much earlier than last year, from what I've heard. Yeah.
We just started chopping up here.
Yeah.
We had a guy do some last week, but most have not yet. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, we're behind and we got a lot of rain. So.
I mowed my lawn on Saturday, so it's kind of like chopping.
Yeah, I bet. Yep. This time of year, it's like feast or famine though, too. Like either it grows really, really, really a lot or nothing. So pretty chilly nights. We haven't had an official frost yet, but
Yeah.
Saranac Lake has, but that's the coldest spot in the United States. So
Yeah, that was an oddball thing. Yeah. Of course, they're at pretty high elevation there, so kind of sitting in a elevated bowl there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. When you get rain, like you were saying, when you get rain, when you don't get rain, timing and amounts, how critical that can be for your success. Talking to the vegetable growers around here, we had the remnants of a hurricane that hit in August, which brought really intense, heavy rains over a short period of time. And it was amazing how much damage it did, to fields, just that one event, you know, um, which kind of surprised me. I wouldn't think that some crops would be that vulnerable, but it turns out they were. Yeah. I think it was the intensity of the rain that really did it, as opposed to the gross amount that fell. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been a nice, typically California September.
Nice.
Cool at night and warm during the day.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I really can't beat it. Yeah. It seems more and more this September is actually our nicest month of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been my sense for a long time.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I was
July and
always in
August
awe.
have become really unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always in awe of Jeff Tunnick. He was, very organized and would always set time, like the week after Labor Day, to take his father up on a canoe trip in the Adirondacks. It was just a tradition. So, the crowds had chilled out a little bit. It's
Oh, yeah.
squarely, it squarely remains in the good bug season.
Yeah.
And yeah, a little more crisp, and that is a great plan. I've never been able to pull it off, but someday.
Right. Yeah. I feel the same way. Yeah. Well, about 6 years ago, I took a vacation, went camping right after Labor Day, and there's Harris Lake up in Newcomb is open for 1 week after Labor Day, and of course, everybody cleared out. We came in on a Tuesday, and I think there was one other person one other camper in the entire campground. It was just amazing. It was so quiet. I mean, we had the whole place to ourselves. I mean, the whole lake to ourselves. It was just
That's
fabulous.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
I mean,
special.
Really one of the nicest vacations I ever had. Yeah.
It is starting to change a little bit up this way. So the reds are coming, oranges are coming.
Yeah.
And
You think it's a little accelerated due to the dryness?
no, I think we're about the same, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there was a few reds that kind of popped early from stress,
Right.
but they've kind of stopped and everybody's catching up now. So
Okay.
yeah. Greens are looking peaked. So
Yeah. Right. The green kind of washes out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's in the weather is beautiful. It's in the 80s, so I can't complain. I think this is the latest we've had our pool open.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little chilly because
Right.
it's cold at night. It's only
Right.
70 degrees, but
Right.
kids don't care what color temperature it is.
No, the
Once
kids
you're
don't. No.
Once you're numb, that's all that matters.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Or we've definitely killed the weather conversation. What else are we going to talk about?
I was gonna suggest we all go get coffee and work on
Yeah.
some emails until we
Yeah,
hear the
that's
ping
what
from
I'm
Bethany
trying to
there.
do. Yeah, perfect idea.
See you soon, everybody.
Yep, see you soon.
gonna take a minute for I think Dale to come back. So, yeah, you've got a few minutes. Well, we wait 46 seconds to be back.
What time did we start the executive session, Bethany? Did we do that?
Nope. We ended at 11:54.
Yeah, I think we started around 11:30 because I looked down at my thing, so
Yeah.
we'll get it. Cause that'll come up with a time on the,
Yeah.
when you stopped it, so I'll just put a question mark next to mine.
I have 11:35 because that's when I sent you an email, Bethany.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, I copy and pasted
Right
Corey's
around there.
out and sent it to you.
Right around there.
All right. Like we got them all back.
Can't find Jason.
Oh, that's not good.
I know, we need him.
He's first
Right.
up. We might have to rearrange.
I'll find him, I'll get him.
All right, so Dale, I
No, speakers just come in.
think all of our voting members are back now.
All right, good. Start up again. So, our executive session was discussing, new chair and vice chair because my appointment is sitting on the governor's desk waiting to be appointed. It could be my replacement could be at any day. It's been there for months, so it could be next year. But if it happens, I won't be here to chair. So, could I get a motion from one of the voting members on our, new chair and vice chair, please?
So just to clarify, that would be a motion to approve Matt Brower as chair and Darren Hickling as vice chair to be effective in December 2024.
Yes. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Scott? Thank you. Do we ask everybody to vote on this or just the rest of the committee that aren't being elected? I haven't done this before. Well, we will have a quorum if the three of us. Scott?
Yes.
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. So we have a new chair and vice chair taking over in December. Thank you very much for stepping up, gentlemen. Okay, now to the next part of business. Bethany?
All right, thank you, Dale. So we've got, I'll just reiterate, pursuant to our New York State Ethics Advisory Opinion, I'm pretty sure most everybody has already signed off, but we do need to ask that all districts, with the exception of our CDEA representative and farms, to recuse from this portion of the meeting for the discussion of the Round 30 Ag Non-Point Source RFP and the Round 8 CRF ranked list discussion. To recuse, please leave the room or disconnect from the WebEx or phone line. All right, and looks like good. So Jason, I'm gonna pull up your PowerPoint.
Darren will have to run the meeting.
You can stick around for the Ag Non-Point Source portion, and then
Okay, that's fine.
use for the Round 8. I think that works.
That'd be fine.
He was trying to cut out, go catch a break.
I know. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, Jason, it's all you.
Sure thing. All right, thanks, everyone. I'm conscious of our agenda, and no one's ever faulted me of talking too much, but I'll give you enough information on our Round 30 RFP and application for the Ag Non-Point Source program. First off, apologies for the date on the slide. This is a recycle of some material that we gave to our technical advisory committee 2 weeks ago, so it is September, it's not August anymore, but most of the information is going to stay the same. So thanks, Ben, for cycling through these. I'll go to the next slide.
Yeah. Trying.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, you mind moving your cup there a little bit?
Hmm?
Mind moving your pillow?
I like to start presentations, getting into mechanics and structure of the program. I like to remind ourselves what we do and why we do it. So I like to start off with this map of New York State farmland, knowing that there's over about 20% of the state is covered with agriculture. These lines are our counties, and there isn't, maybe there isn't a county out there that doesn't have some agriculture on it. So we see a lot of opportunity for our programs all across our state, what is quite a diverse state. You're not seeing agriculture, you're seeing some of the deepest wilderness in the state, some of the largest cities in the world, or city, but we have an immensely diverse landscape, and agriculture is a huge part of it. Next click, please. We also have a really unique water system here. This is a nice presentation of our different major basins. And I like this one map because it shows the flow that everything is going, and you'll notice no arrows going into New York State. Generally, arrows flowing out of New York State. We are the headwaters for 3 of the largest basins in North America. So that is a responsibility to our own citizens, to our own farms, but also to our neighbors and to everyone else that shares these watersheds. So we are upstream of these beautiful resources that support our agriculture in the Northeast. And we know that they are inseparable, and we try to join them together by the Ag Non-Point Source Program. So the goal of the Ag Non-Point Source Program is to reduce non-point source pollution from farming activities through cost share of aim-based planning and implementation of BMPs for water quality. We all live in a watershed, we all eat food, and we all benefit from farms, but it's unmistakable that farms have an indirect impact on water quality, a non-point impact. Point source would be something like a combined sewer overflow or a septic system of a hotel or something like this. Non-point source is considering diffuse sources of pollution across the landscape or on a farm bed. So we have this problem, but we have the solution, and the solution to any problem is a good plan and hard work. So we can do that through Ag Non-Point Source planning and implementation projects. The available funding for round 30 is going to be 25 million split across 2 funding sources, the Environmental Protection Fund and the Bond Act. That's $14 million from the EPF and $11 million from the Bond Act. I'll go over in a little more detail later on the differences between these 2 funding tracks and what is involved for applicants pursuing them. Other parts of the general structure of the program are going to stay the same, such as the eligible systems and costs or the match requirements. As a reminder, in Ag Non-Point Source, the New York State will cover up to 75% of a proposed system, at which point a 1-to-1 match to landowner match to state match is required, up to 87.5% of state covering these BMP systems. We'll jump to the next slide.
That's you.
Thank you. Slacking, sorry.
This is another illustration slide of what we can do to bring these solutions to these non-point source pollution problems on farms. So we start with the plan, AIM Tier 3 plan to identify problems and to bring solutions to them specifically on the farm. And then we implement these solutions through agricultural BMP systems. We have an entire catalog. Each of these is addressed at a certain resource concern or a certain resource opportunity that could be exploited by the farm. Just make things better and better for downstream water quality also. Eligible expenses are going to be relatively the same as previous rounds, but just as a reminder, districts can cover contract administration. So there's a lot of, for lack of a better word, paperwork or administrative work that goes into our grants. We have to keep track of invoices and payments and closeout times and meeting with our AEAs, and all that would be cost shareable under our Ag Non-Point Source program. Another eligible expense would be technical services from the conservation district staff. So each district person is really adept at what they do and can implement a lot on farms just themselves. So they will call their hours out to be reimbursed by state programs. Some things require outside third-party expertise like architecture, engineering, consultants. That is also an eligible cost to be cost shared under Ag Non-Point Source. Getting plans and specifications, some of the larger systems and practices require engineering, like I was saying, or architectural, or something that requires a stamp, also coverable. Direct expenses related to planning and implementation. First thing that comes to mind for me is like a permit, either like a wetland permit, maybe the fees that go into it, or a SHPO, when we were talking about a little bit earlier. So things that are directly related to planning and implementation of the project without it actually being the materials and actual work that goes into it. That is also covered straight BMP implementation costs. So this is paying your concrete guy, this is paying your contractors to actually put the system in at ground level. So a lot that can be covered by ag non-point source, up to, as I said, 75 to 87.5%. So getting into the specific changes to round 30 of ag non-point source is the two funding tracks that we are going to be pursuing. So my colleague Chaz was talking a little bit earlier about the AIM 18 portion of our funding that was taken out of the ag non-point source 23-24 line item of the Environmental Protection Fund. So on screen is the breakdown after we've contributed to AIM, and then the various carve-outs that come from the ag non-point source line, and then trying to make it an even 14 million. There is returned funds, so every project that is, say, closed out before spending all funds, or there's some funds left over, gets put back into account. We were able to grab some of those, added on to the full EPF amount that we're adding this year for 14 million. So that's one track that's typical. That's going to include planning and implementation grants, normal cost share, and normal reporting requirements for previous years. The one that's a little different this year is the Bond Act. This is $11 million provided by the 2022 Clean Air, Clean Water, and Green Jobs Bond Act. I'll just call it Bond Act. This is $11 million for bondable practices only. That's structural constructed systems that have a minimum lifespan of 10 years. So that's going to include things like a waste storage or an erosion control system, something that's actually built. It wouldn't cover all planning, so no planning under Bond Act, or some more like agronomic, less structural practices, things like cover crops or feed management, something that has less than a 10-year BMP lifespan. So that's one requirement of the Bond Act funding. The other one is going to be, and that we think is going to be, an application of prevailing wage and the reporting requirements that come from that for these projects. So districts will have the ability to choose whether they rather go EPF or Bond Act. And we think that having the prevailing wage requirement to Bond Act is going to, change the strategy of the applicants, whether they would want to go for EPF or Bond Act. Obviously, Bond Act might, or prevailing wage might restrict contractors or add some extra reporting requirements to them, but it's also a different competitive avenue to pursue, and it's $11 million that could be right for the right district and the right projects. So the full mechanics of this are going to be in the hands of the districts to reach out to their local Department of Labor to determine if their proposed project does fall under the definition of a prevailing wage project. If they get that okay from them, they need to figure that out ahead of time at the application stage of their project so they can build the budget. But we aren't looking for any of that official DOL documentation at application phase. We just need districts to determine if it's going to be prevailing wage type project, build it into their budget, and then choose the Bond Act choice for them. When it comes time for actual plan of work to awarded projects, then we are going to need to see more of the actual documentation from the Department of Labor qualifying this as prevailing wage type of work. We are working with council right now about this. This is all kind of new and fresh, and obviously it's of a lot of interest to applicant districts because of the difference in budget and projects this would be. But we are prepared to offer it like this. If we get word from our council that maybe these types of projects don't necessarily require prevailing wage, we could release an addendum or some sort of difference to the RFP. But right now we are, for lack of a better words, preparing for the worst and getting districts ready to pursue the prevailing wage part of this. So,
Hey, Jason, before we move on from this topic, just real quick, council reviewed the Bond Act language and determined pretty strong in pursuit of labor law and prevailing wage. Since we don't have the same language in our program and the Environmental Protection Fund, we've been able to determine over many years that these are private projects, not public works projects, hence prevailing wages does not apply. But Bond Act, in our council's opinion, changes all of that, and we have to adhere to the requirements as a department, right? Even though Bond Act is stewarded by the DEC provides the funding for our utilization, but also with that, we have to adhere to all the requirements of the Bond Act. That being said, it's council, as Jason mentioned, who will be seeking more of a formal opinion by the Department of Labor. If we can get that, so the districts don't have to go to each individual regional office with their projects, then that's the addendum that Jason's referring to. So we're preparing for not getting that in time, and we're not gonna hold the RFP back, but should we get that while the RFP's out, it'd be great news for folks that, you know, we wouldn't have that same constraint. We'll put that information out there. And again, it increases the cost, but also it's the availability of contractors. They have to have certified payroll, they have to have all the paperwork, they, you know, need to be prepared for that too, so that's our concern.
and huge thanks to our council for diving into this and helping us interpret this. Nothing is free, so that extra pile on. So, thank you. That's good information.
Thank you.
Right, so I'll hop into our timeline. So we are looking to release the RFP in October of 2024. Specific date to be determined as we work through the actual mechanics of release through our council review, your press release, these types of things, but within the month of October. We'll start taking questions in November. Questions through RFPs, if they're not straight copy and paste type of thing from the document, require our council to review. And then we post them on SharePoint every couple of weeks. So that's fair, that the question is answering, you know, the answers the question correctly, and we just have everything lined up. So every few weeks, starting November, we'll release Q&As, expect a lot of them about Bond Act and such. But that'll be posted on SharePoint. Final Q&A is due in December, and then we'll post them in January. The deadline for proposal submission is on February 24th, 2025. That is a Monday, and awards will be announced in May following scoring and ranking and eligibility determination of staff and reviewers. So that is also not an official date when we're awarding, but a goal within the month. So speaking of scoring and funding, just a review of how the Ag Point Source program is scored. It is done by 6 partner agencies that are an eclectic group, but all very qualified to comment on these types of projects. I won't go through each one, but they have been good partners with us, and even one is Ag and Markets, that's our own department. It would be someone outside of this specific committee. Not involved, but in short, it's 50 points attributed mostly through an identification of need and opportunity, but there's also some points for supporting other conservation efforts, an adequate scope of work, or cost effectiveness. There is going to be 5 preference points assigned on top of the aggregated score. So each agency will score up to 50 points per RFP that is submitted. And then they will be aggregated into upwards of 300 points, and then 5 points added on the end for preference points that we will discuss later on. So I'll move now into our summary of changes for this RFP. So we manage these programs, but we're also tasked with improving them over time, and this has been going on for 30 rounds now. We still have a lot of opportunity to improve and make it a better program and see the best projects come to the top and get funded. So in summary, the things that we're really looking at, we are updating our application. We are requiring a plan of work to be submitted at application time. We have the new SW workbook through Excel. Tyler Knapp has built this. And then a DAC map. This is a disadvantaged communities map. This is a requirement of Bond Act where we identify a benefit to a disadvantaged community in DAC. I've also tried to reorder our watershed narrative and table to be more helpful for reviewers, and we've revised some questions. And we've also taken a stab at scoring criteria updates. So like a rubric in school, the reviewers will take a number of scoring criteria and score the application based on those criteria and assign points on them. So it's kind of a guiding way for them to assign points. And we have tried to update the scoring criteria based on these goals on screen. So these have come from discussion with districts and other program managers, with staff, just trying to build on feedback from different partners of the program, how to improve our offering each year. So I'll go through each of these as we go through each slide, but just want to give you guys a quick summary overview of the changes we made this year. So next slide. So just talking about our application package, changes this year, went through them pretty briefly. We are now requiring the SW5 to be added at time of application. This is our plan of work. And the plan of work is not a highly detailed document, but it is helpful in timing up the completion of these different systems. So at the time of application, districts will need to call out what is happening with each system and in what year. Think about maybe year 1 is design, year 2 is implementation, year 3 is operation and maintenance. It'd be really that level of detail, but just some forward thought at this level of application hopefully reduces the amount of time extensions that we need to consider, or cancellations later on in the project when things get too far on. So the SW workbook will also be new. This is the first time we're using this new consolidated Excel spreadsheet. It's very nice. It's a combination of all 6 SW forms into one, and just through various formulas and connections on the Excel spreadsheet. It does some neat things like it carries the landowner through, or it'll carry the budget through. So that's just hopefully an easier way for applicants to use the workbook and for reviewers to review. And then, of course, the next is the DAC map, the disadvantaged community map. We are going to be asking applicants to demonstrate a benefit within a similar HUC 10 of the DAC community. And I can explain that a little bit better with an example map and a slide or two. I'll jump to the next slide. This is just an emphasis of how much we rely on maps in our Ag and Point Service RFP. So some districts provide really excellent maps of the farmstead, BMP implementation, and the watershed. So we have a good idea of what's happening, but I also wanted to support these maps with a narrative. Sometimes words can speak just as loudly or be complementary or be helpful to these excellent maps that are added. So what I did was separate out, I'll go through this, our problem statement. I pulled all watershed type information into its own one-page narrative and reduced the problem statement by 1 page. So there's no increase in reading or writing, but just a separation of all watershed type questions into one, so it doesn't get kind of mushed together into a problem statement and a watershed statement. It's looking at them separate. We're looking at the watershed and we're looking at the problem. Hopefully that allows a little more in-depth consideration of the watershed we're working in. And I did that through combination of a narrative and then also this table. This year, instead of questions 7 through 12 asking what is the HUC 8, what is the HUC 12, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we've done our best to just combine them into one table so that reviewers can have a one-stop shop for reviewing all watersheds that are going to be worked in, what the AIM strategic plan is being addressed there, and if there is an upstream benefit to a disadvantaged community, upstream at a HUC 10 level. So this is hopefully a good, more accessible, more digestible form of information when reviewers are looking at the watersheds being worked in. The next slide is the DAC. No, this is the, sorry. This is what I was talking about, our aquatic resources narrative. Down the blue there, I added questions 10 through 12. Instead of just questions being asked, I helped to fold them into the actual aquatic resource narrative. For a couple reasons, I wanted things to be tied together a little bit more. And I also, a blank loudly. So if there was a blank for these things, maybe that was a little bit, a little too obvious or jarring, but there's still maybe a lot that can be, tied into an aquatic resource narrative. So just trying to lean more into districts writing, even if it's in a concise kind of way. Okay, here is an example of our disadvantaged communities map. This is a watershed. I try to make it kind of generic without any labels. But basically we are asking that a project provide a benefit to a downstream, provide a benefit to that is beneficial downstream to a DAC. So I hope I said that right. So their project needs to be upstream of the benefit to the DAC. Now here in this watershed here, you can see the farm in the star blue, and it is within the Huck 10 boundary of the drinking water source to the DAC. So this would be considered allowable as a benefit. So as long as it's benefiting the water, drinking water source of that DAC, that would be an allowable benefit. It needs to be within the watershed of the disadvantaged community. Now the next slide is, one more. Okay, so now you see the project is, this would not be considered eligible. So the project here is outside of the Huck 10 watershed of that drinking water source. Even if it is in the Huck, the same watershed of the disadvantaged community, it would need to be in the, the same watershed as the benefits. So it needs to be benefiting the DAC in a clear way. So this would be an X. The previous one would be a check that is allowable. So again, upstream of the benefit to the DAC, not necessarily to the DAC. So we've updated and added a few questions. One, not a huge change, but we asked, what are the number of farms that have never been awarded a CRF or Ag Non-Point Source grant? Previously, it was just number of farms not awarded Ag Non-Point Source grant. We try to have positive scoring criteria to those that have not been selected before for these grants. And we just wanted to increase cross-program opportunity, simplicity for the applicant, and inclusion of farms that maybe are going after one instead of the other, or maybe they aren't sure which they got a few years back. So just sort of alleviating that difference between our programs. You get some positive scoring criteria if you didn't get one of these big state grants before in sort of lesser terms. So another question that we added, are any farms proposing cover crops on fields for the first time or trying a seed mix for the first time? Or are any farms implementing a system for the first time, such as a waste storage system? There was an emphasis this round to be supporting more farms that are doing something perhaps for the first time or trying a novel solution for the program or to their problems. After getting a lot of feedback and observation that maybe a lot of farms are doubling down on the same system, such as a waste storage system. So maybe we're implementing the 4th, 5th, 6th waste storage system after several rounds. We are looking to support, with positive scoring criteria farms that are going for a first-time solution or just trying to fix something, not doing the same thing over and over again. Next slide. So we did remove a few questions. The application asked if a private engineer or private consulting services were required. What I did was I just made a table that has them break down everyone proposed to be working on this and their contribution. So instead of having a separate question of just engineers and consultants, which may have a little bit of bias to it, maybe those that were pursuing engineer get a higher score inadvertently. Just trying to condense and reduce the number of questions. We also got rid of the question to list the counties participating in the project. It really had no connection to the scoring criteria. And recently we're seeing most projects just be one district, one project. And then I'll go over this in a little bit more. We altered these questions a little bit to get to a better outcome with them. For implementation projects on CAFOs, identify the BMP cost share percentage. And then in a similar vein, for BMP systems that are intended to prevent pollution from farm expansion, what is the cost share percentage that they're putting forward? And in table form, not so much. And we did this to reduce the impact of high landowner contributions, getting more points for cost effectiveness. So in a sense, a farm that has more capital and more financial ability to put forward more money could just get more points on cost effectiveness. That doesn't make it a necessarily cost effective project. It just makes it a cheaper project for the state. So we wanted to take away maybe that imbalance that was happening with farms that were more financially solvent or could put forward that money. So we'll get into the scoring criteria updates. Underneath the bold is the goal that we are trying to achieve with updates to these scoring criteria changes. So first one being a requirement of the Bond Act, but required of both tracks. We want there to be a demonstrated disadvantage benefit to a disadvantaged community. And we have this language underneath it that explains what I was talking about at the map, where the top 10 and disadvantaged communities do not need to intersect necessarily, but there needs to be a direct downstream benefit to that benefit, to that DAC, excuse me. So also another question we added, the project includes farms that never awarded CRF to Ag non-point source grant. Like I was saying, trying to get some consistency between our programs and some inclusiveness. Another theme we're looking at is to, like I was saying, to address existing natural resource concerns. So selected BMPs are needed to address existing natural resource concerns as identified through AIM, or to address an executed consent order from the CAFO permit, or projects, proposed BMP systems that are the first time attempts by the farm to address a resource concern or have not been recently implemented by the farm. Recently being kept specifically vague so that the applicants can explain how long ago a solution has been proposed on the farm. So here, going back to we were just talking about reducing cost share and balance for multiple waste storages and expansion. We have changed them to asking what is the contribution, or the scoring criteria was that the landowner puts forward a large amount of capital, large contribution of the cost share. That was considered a funding scoring criteria before for CAFOs and for farms pursuing practices related to expansion of their farm. And so we tried to change these to not focus so much on a high amount of cost share putting into it, but to address demonstrating how nutrient and water quality management is further enhanced over current conditions for CAFOs, or how if a farm is pursuing expansion, that this is addressing an existing resource concern, not previously not previously addressed before, that this is addressing something for the first time or an early, before it becomes a problem. Next question. Okay. So we also want to support adoption, education, and innovation. This is one added scoring criteria. The project will promote the adoption of additional BMPs in the watershed by innovation, education, or support of AIM-based outreach and education goals. Meetings like this are testament to how much our field gets together and meets and talks about solutions and, collaborates so much. So we're hoping that there's positive scoring criteria for reviewers on projects that have something that can be easily communicated to other farmers, or to, support the district's AIM-based outreach goals or education goals, or something that can be workshopped by a farm, something that could be just stood by a farm, and maybe in the future, other people look to it and emulate it. Slide. And then we were looking for good planning and effective projects. So we want the project to be a complete system, but to also set the groundwork for future conservation efforts. Some examples given, like cover and flare or silos leachate control. We also are looking for the proposal to have sufficient detail regarding post-installation monitoring and management during the contract to ensure long-term functioning or survivability of BMPs. And that is speaking to the long-term survivability, even past contract of a project, but looking for that early in the application phase, not, waiting till the end of the contract to start thinking about O&M or installation monitoring. And the last update we made was to the forested buffer, the preference points. We had previously offered reference points for several things, whether the project was in a watershed with a clean water plan, or if it was a drinking water source, or if it was a drinking water source protection plan attached to it, or if there was an herbaceous buffer or a forested buffer. And I have scaled that back to provide preference points only to farms pursuing forested buffers on all farms. So just forested buffers, no longer herbaceous buffers. And the plan of work needs to identify implementation beginning within 2 years of the contract. Also, buffers should be accompanied with access control or livestock exclusion when on pastured land. That's just kind of typical to keep them off of where you're trying to grow your trees. But we have pulled back preference points to just pursuing forested buffers and added guardrails such that applicants are implementing them early in the contract. We've noticed maybe they get pushed a little bit later on, maybe need an extension, maybe never get put in. Doesn't happen all the time, but this hopefully helps to get buffers started within 2 years of contract start.
I'll just add in here real quick that, there are still considerations in the overall scoring criteria for those projects that will be addressing the water bodies with the TMDL, the clean water plan. So the TMDLs and 9-element plans. We have scoring criteria in our identified needs section that will give priority to those projects. Same with the, if it's a project that's addressing a public drinking water source, or within a, community that has a drinking water source protection plan, there are regular scoring criteria built in that is intended to give those a higher identified need score.
Yep, we did not get rid of those in full, and a lot of those are important to our partners and our scores. So thanks for them too. So yeah, that's it. I'll pause for questions and feedback as you need. This is currently with our council for review. We did get the RFP and application to you guys last week for your review. If you have any questions for me though, happy to answer them.
I'll just add, we did send it down to council just to try to keep the process going, but if we do need to make any changes based on the discussion here, we can do that. They haven't approved it yet. Pending this meeting.
The DAC maps is just for the Bond Act money or both?
No, that's for both tracks.
Oh.
It's scoring criteria for either track.
Okay.
But we built it in because of the Bond Act requirement.
But if the project is not located within that watershed, what does that mean to the application?
It just gets less positive, so it's a positive scoring criteria to be a benefit to a DAC.
Okay. So the reviewers are just considering that as part of the overall project.
Yeah. I believe the Bond Act, law, basically said that we had to give preference or priority consideration to projects that address these disadvantaged communities. So rather than build in an actual bonus point, we wanted to kind of put in, like we did with the others, a scoring criteria that's gonna hopefully improve those, give those projects a little bit more of a higher need score.
Okay. And then you were talking about bondable projects, right? Under the bond, so we're gonna treat it like as 2 separate tracks.
Yep.
What happens if we find that projects are applied for that have some of both? How would we treat that if they threw cover crops in with like a covered barnyard?
And that would go into the non-bond act track. We'll have to make sure that we provide that information out to all districts, because I'm assuming it would be very similar to the federal funding. There would have to be a contract for each.
Well, and Jason was pretty explicit in the RFP on to define what systems are eligible for Bond Act versus what is eligible through like our standard EPF money, and we're gonna ask districts to pick basically right up front, so.
I think that was my question. If they pick one and then we find a mistake, can we move them over? Or is it essentially thrown out?
My opinion would be not to throw it out, but maybe we couldn't, we would have to say we can't fund the cover crop portion with Bond Act. That's what I would say.
I'd like to offer them a chance to revise their budget, I guess. So.
Could you do that?
That happens, I think we would get council review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be some leeway given a brand new funding source in first round. Then, but, when we had experience back in '96 Clean Water Bond Act and administering those projects in the early 2000s, there was a separate contract, subtly different reporting, but there was also subtly different, contract requirements based on the Bond Act. You could still offer to the same RFP.
Okay.
What would be like an average project cost then
For which one?
any of these, it looks like they're geared towards, the major projects, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
$1 million minimum or type projects or?
Well, we have a $5 million cap on any project so it can't be over $5 million total, state and landowner money. And I'd want to lean on the data to give you an actual number, but I mean, they're like they range from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. They're not millions of dollars each generally. Waste storage is, depending on the size, I think I've often seen like the state will put forward a few $100,000 and the landowner will put forward a few $100,000. CAFO, we offered $385,000 per waste storage. And they give you a baseline of how much these things cost. We also have things that cost a lot less, like livestock exclusion or things like that. Like the cost of fencing will be, sounds like a lot of money, but maybe, $20,000 to $50,000 to, cut off a part of pasture. And so the state would pay for 75 to 80, 2.5% of that. So. I'm trying to give you, that's kind of a non-answer. I say.
I know, it varies, region and.
Well, and it has-
size and.
We have seen project budgets over the past couple of years increase pretty drastically, like this. I think in round 29, we had multiple applications that were requesting over $1 million just from the state, so that wasn't even like the total budget. I don't know, probably if I had to estimate on average, we would see requests between like $300,000 and $500,000 from the state, and that's not total.
Part of that is also, we have discussed earlier, because we have an AIM-based program now that does provide non-competitive funding source for some of the lower cost projects, not, always the case, but it's where we've seen kind of more expensive projects come in on the ag non-point source over the last few years too. Well, of course, price escalation across the board, but sounds like a good research project to kind of bring back. It would be interesting. We couldn't just do it across all practices, but maybe, the top practices that Tyler had shown earlier today to kind of include what might be an average cost for some of those, but may not be telling, like you said, in between regions, between size and scale, might be hard to draw an inference from it.
Is there any criteria as far as how will this project last 10 years? I mean, will the farm last 10 years? I've seen, equip projects, barnyards and whatnot. They're idle, they're just sitting there. Farmers retire, and you might have had another farmer come in and try dairying it for a few years, but then he quit, and you spend all these, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and facilities are sitting unused. Covered barnyards with hay storage now. Is there any criteria to kind of
you guys can help me with this. I don't think we have specifically on that. I know that we do have some funding criteria about, appropriate closeout speed with districts previously. It's not asking about farmers, but we do ask that districts complete their they don't have any overdue closeouts in the past 6 months. So that's one scoring criteria that comes to mind, but I can't think of any offhand that specifically drill down on just, solvency or the long-term viability of the farm.
It'd probably be hard to do any.
Yeah, I think other than, the practice having an operation and maintenance requirement, that's about as far as you could probably go.
I know, personally, I had an application for a manure storage for a calf facility, and my wife didn't like the way the roof design was attached to the old barn. And my son says, well, we're not gonna have calves in this barn. And Corey is like, well, if it's not gonna last 10 years, I'm not going forward with it. It's been, I think, 9 years, the calves are still there, and I think they're still gonna be there. But,
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it's far the exception rather than sort of a standard problem, that happens where something's built and then it goes out of its intended use. But certainly life happens, right, on small businesses like farms, and that can happen. I think, and this varies too, but the planning process to, tier 2 assessment and the tier 3 conservation plan really requires a lot of discussion between the district planner and the farmer to vet these. And, a lot of those discussions kind of come out there where, if it becomes clear that things aren't going well and, okay, what's the cost share percentage on this again? Oh, that's going to be tough to meet. That might pivot to a different solution to the problem, or maybe pumping the brakes on that project before it goes so far as to, a cost share application and whatnot. And, sometimes I suppose we see that when a project has been awarded and the financial situation changes post-award, and I really can't make the cost share percentage, or my things have changed on the farm, or I don't want to continue with this. I don't want to start this project and it gets canceled. So we've got some escape hatches, but hopefully we prevent it up front with those good and candid discussions between the district and the farm on what they actually want to select from the plan and implement, so that we prevent that.
Yeah, that was kind of my thinking as the district staff person, hopefully has a fairly good feel for the management on the farm and what the future looks like, and
nobody's got the crystal ball
it's tough to, but a lot of times you can kind of get a sense as to how the management is, and whether it looks like they're gonna be there for very long or not,
Yeah. Well, the CAFO farms, the larger ones are more, well-managed ones are more stable.
Right.
To go ahead with these big dollar projects. Anyways.
It's not necessarily that they're more stable, it's that they're easily transferable to another operation who's going to keep animals in there. The larger farms, we see it regularly in our area. The larger farms are transferring hands, but they still keep operating going. You don't see it as much with small ones. The big farmer comes in, buys the farm, but he just wants the land. He lets the building sit there. So you lose your investment in the buildings and everything.
Hey, Jason, one other thing to think about on prevailing wage. I don't know, maybe like Greg said, it's not going to come up a lot, but I think, beyond Department of Labor determining if a project is going to be prevailing wage, there might be differences in contractors of whether or not they have to adhere to prevailing wage. So you might have a project applied for, assuming it's going to be prevailing wage, but then when it becomes bidding time, you have a sole proprietor, owner operator come in who's not obligated to use prevailing wage and is going to obviously submit a lower bid. And I don't know if that's a problem for our procurement process or.
Scott, that's kind of what we need to figure out, right? Because that particular sole proprietor may not be able to bid on a bond ag project for procurement. That's the concern, availability and if they're set up for it. So that's why, you know, trying to get that statewide determination is really important in the long run.
Good, okay, thanks.
Yep.
There aren't any
Anything
further
else?
questions, then we'll need a motion to approve the RFP and the rating.
Any further discussion, anybody? Okay, quite a bit, but that's fine. If not, could I get a approval for the round 30 Ag non-point source RFP rating sheet, please? Motion.
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go to voting. Scott?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Matt?
All right.
Erica? Did we lose Erica? Oh, you're still muted, Erica. There you are.
She recorded an aye.
Okay, thank you. Approved.
Where's my pumpkins look that good?
You know where that is? That's outside
Next
Johnson.
next on our agenda is Jennifer with the round 8 CRF rank list approval. I have to step out first and Darren will have to run it. Does anybody else have to, Bethany?
I do not believe so.
Okay,
You are
just
the
me.
only one. So
Well,
I will wait until you are out sharing. Thanks, Dale.
Thanks.
Okay. Jennifer, I will pull this up. Give
Yeah, I
you
didn't
2
get,
seconds.
With the zone builder, I didn't get, before I ran that through, I didn't have good
So
vegetation control. And I had problems with it. The zone builder was like, stuff was building in front of the chain.
So this is super teeny tiny, but I'm zooming in on the, no, I'm not.
Still talking about pumpkins.
The folks on the call can see it. You guys can't see it. All right, so this is super teeny tiny. So I'm zooming in on this particular section of the rank list. Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you. So this is the ranked list for CRF round 8. The reviewers completed their review. We had a post-review meeting. And the projects were put into ranked order. And
No, it's fine.
it's not your farm, though. It can't be your farm.
Will that be sufficient?
So this round, we have 6 tracks of funding, 2 that are federally funded, the remaining are state funded. But this is one complete ranked list. I know I put it in one spreadsheet or one PDF, so
My glasses.
it wouldn't switch out or wouldn't
You realize
separate
that-
the columns and the rows, but, this can be zoomed into, on a computer screen, so. And I just wanna provide a big thank you to our reviewers. We have 4 review agencies, DEC, AGM, DOS, and, Cornell. Are the 4 review agencies. Each of the agencies, put together a whole review team this year as we had more applications than in past rounds, and did a great job, getting all of the applications reviewed in a timely manner and, discussing all of our proposals at our post-review meeting. So, a huge thank you to all of our reviewers that participated in review of round 8. So this is the rank list. If there's any questions, happy to talk about it, but I can read the resolution when we are ready.
Can we just talk about the available funds and
So
the demand for?
we were oversubscribed overall.
on the, bottom of it.
There is, yeah, if you go all the way to the bottom, there is a
Trying to think.
table.
Take the time so folks. can
Sure.
look at it.
So there are a few tracks that will, be fully funded based on the amount of funding that was requested and the amount of available. Any remaining leftover funds will then be utilized for any tracks that were oversubscribed. So there will be, a mix of a few tracks that, are oversubscribed and will have projects, that will be unfunded, and then there will be a few tracks that will be fully funded.
So, yeah.
So track 2 and track 4 are undersubscribed. Those remaining funds will then be shifted over to track 1A and track 3A. So the state money needs to stay with the state money, and the federal money, the tracks 1B and 3B, those are federally funded, those are separate from the state tracks. The federal tracks, we do have, track 1B was, slightly oversubscribed, but we have enough total federal funding that we've been awarded in our, federal grant that we can cover all of the track 1B. And 3B was undersubscribed slightly, so all of that track will be funded.
So with the federal funding, we were going to hold back, funding for the next round, but since we have the need and demand here under this round,
We will fully fund all of the federal projects in this round, and then we do have some funding that we could offer again in round 9, but it's far less than what we came out with this year, so we'll have to kind of reassess what's really most feasible as far as how projects are, how much they cost and such. But for this round, especially since we have already been under our federal contract for a year, we want to make sure that we can move forward with the projects that have come in with requests that are viable, and we have the money to fund them. The other thing that we're looking at is there are 2 projects that would be offered partial awards, that we are able to offer full awards using some return funds from CRF. And this is something that we're gonna change for round 9, because the offering a partial award for projects that have a set budget that they've proposed is it's problematic for the project to be able to proceed with a lower amount than what was requested, so we're gonna change that for round 9, and find a way to utilize all of our funding that we have available, but not have to offer partial awards. Working right now with the press team on a press release that will go out next week during Climate Week, or tentatively out next week during Climate Week, so this will be a big announcement statewide about the state's climate goals and what the state is doing for climate and agriculture, specifically for us. Should I read the resolution, or do we want any questions?
Yeah, if there's no more questions, might as well read the resolution.
Okay, sounds good. I will do that. So this is resolution 2024-02. That subject to the availability of funds, the committee shall award funding pursuant to round 8 of the Climate Resilient Farming Grant Program for projects ranked on each of the 6 lists, 1 list per track, until funds available for this purpose are exhausted or the scoring threshold is reached, consistent with the Soil and Water Conservation District Law, the RFP, and any other law applicable to the funding of such projects. Consistent with the RFP, the committee authorizes the Department of the Agriculture and Markets to negotiate the terms of the contract with the project sponsors and to make minor adjustments to the project description and budget as necessary to achieve project goals, conform to applicable laws and regulations, and to serve the best interests of the state. I do just want to note in that, what was written is 4 lists. We actually have 6 lists this year because we did expand the tracks. No problem. I just want to note that for the record.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the resolution. We got a second?
Second.
Okay, go to voting. Erica,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
who else we got?
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution or the motion passes.
Great, thank you very much. So this will be announced and award letters will go out. Well, award letters will be dated October 1st, actually, according to RB 1184. So
There you go. All right.
very on.
Thank you, Jennifer and Jason, for your presentations this afternoon. And thank you, everybody, for hanging on a little bit past our adjourn time.
Is Dale returning to the room there?
Let's
Or did he
see, can
take
one
off?
of you guys, he rode with PJ, can one of you
Okay.
guys, oh, he is back, okay.
I'm here.
Let's end this meeting, Dale, we'll need a motion.
Hiding in the back corner. We all done?
Yes.
Did you adjourn yet?
Nope, you've got
Meeting adjourned then. Thank you very much, everybody. You have a great rest of summer. Enjoy the next 2 weeks because it's gorgeous weather.
It's right, it's still summer technically.
Thanks, everybody, have a
Enjoy
great
the harvest
day.
tonight.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Bye-bye.
Moon is, our beef guy.